even though he has been on the road for the past 2 months. He's really glad to be back home after 3 weeks of speaking. Very excited, and he's very excited to see new members who like to brave the 6:44 a.m. start time. Today, John shares his lessons on how he crafts his story for maximum audience impact. The title of John's speech is the SPAA method. Let's welcome John.
Does anyone know what SPAA is? SPAA. Well, it's not that. Although we like to have it feel like that. It's really a way of doing business. I was doing a speech over in London at the NASDAQ, and I was invited there to do this 15-minute keynote. And for 15 minutes to go from the United States to London and back, I just didn't think that was the greatest thing. But I went over there, my boss told me to go, I went, saluted, and I was over. And after the speech was over, it was amazing. I had just kind of slayed it, I killed it. I was feeling good, came back on the plane ride home, landed in Indianapolis, Indiana, where I was going to the National Speakers Association meeting, my first meeting ever with this incredible group. And I was invited to come to the sports celebrity speaker workshop that was put on by NSA member Ruby Newell-Legner. And halfway through the presentation, she asked for people to volunteer and get up and do a 5-minute, your best stuff, sort of keynote, and they would do some evaluations on it. So of course I just killed it at the NASDAQ, so I raise my hand, I get up, and I say, I will do this for you, Ruby. And as I walk to the front, turn around, face my audience, I can't put 2 words together. Oh. Cotton mouth is coming, hands are clammy, and I want to get off that stage as fast as possible. And I sit down sheepishly in my seat, and I get the smattering of applause. Oh, that was pretty good, good smattering of applause. And I put my head down, and Ruby asked, who would like to go next? Every hand in the room shoots up. Because I can do better than that guy. So I have to listen to all these comments, and I'm in this funk. I just don't know what happened. Why 2 days ago I just slayed it over in London, and now I just bombed in front of all of my peers. And so I had to go back in my mind and think about what those issues were. What were the problems that happened? Have you ever had a time in your life when you were in front of a group of individuals and you just totally bombed? Why don't you turn to your neighbor just for 30 seconds each and talk about that one experience. Just do it real quick for me right now. Turn to your neighbor. Talk about that one time.
I totally bombed at this thing at work. I was yeah, he's very good. He knows how to engage the audience. And it is more intimidating when you speak with your peers than when I go and speak to an outside group. Absolutely. I don't know why.
Okay, in 5 seconds, I want you to switch as the other person hasn't talked.
Because your peers are what?
2, 1, switch, let the other person talk.
Yeah, but I don't know you, but I'm more interested in you. Then I have to go to Indiana and speak next week to Group Alliance. Why? Do it filters. We want to say the right way. And it just slows down.
It's new?
Yeah. Because I see you all every week.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here watching it right now.
I have no answer.
That's absolutely.
I know it's there, it's real. And you can just walk in, or it doesn't have to be something where you opening a presentation.
All right, let's bring it back. What did anybody learn? Anybody learn anything that was common experience?
Everybody bombs.
Everybody bombs. Everybody bombs. Anything, you learn anything else?
Practice helps.
Practice helps. Practice does help. Everybody does bomb. what I learned from that experience, and I thank you for sharing that and doing that little activity, is that if we have a methodology, if we have some way that we can put things together, it helps us stay focused, it helps us stay on time, it helps us stay organized with our thoughts and our content. And that's what I had done wrong with my group that was inside that sports celebrity workshop. I didn't have a framework. I just got up and thought I could just wing it. And there was no focus, there was no way to go. And in fact, what I just did for you right there, you have just been SPAA'd. One of the things I like to use is the story, a point to the story, the application for a story, and then an activity. What was the story I just opened up with today?
Bomb.
I bombed it. That was the point of the story. What was the story, though? Going to England and doing well, and then going to NSA, Indiana, and bombing. So you have a story, and I got and Craig correctly identified the point. And then I did an application for the story. What was the application?
PowerPoint.
Application was not the PowerPoint, but that's a good guess. Give me a high five, man. Woo-hoo! Love participation from our visitors, yes.
Discussion we had.
The discussion was actually not, but it was right before that.
I don't get it.
The application for this is how do you transfer what you have learned, your point that you made, to your audience? How do you get that transfer in? So we can say something like, how was it for you? Have you ever had a time when? And now the audience begins to think in their minds, what is going on in my life? And the story is now transferred from me to you, from an I story to a you story. The we collectively story comes in, as Jeff pointed out, is the activity. So most people, when you look online and you see this method, you'll see the story, the point, and the application. I just take it one step further and do an application with it, or do the activity with it. Because that really locks in the learning for the people that you're talking to. I like this method because it helps me stay focused, it helps me keep clarity, it helps me stay on time, or at least I know my time, and I can play around with it inside of the space that I do have. And then it helps me apply the methods to the audience, or the learning objective to the audience, and then we can seal it and lock it in with the activity. So let's do one more, and I'll walk through the process one more time with another activity. As a speaker, I try to talk about change and changing our perspectives. And I have a lot of stories around changing our perspective. And I can pick out any one of these stories at any given time, depending upon how much time I have or the impact I really wanted to make. Now, if I do my true change perspective story, it takes 15 minutes. We don't have 15 minutes. But I do have a shorter version of a story that I tell about changing my perspective when it came to losing a limb and trying to learn how to long jump again. It's a quick change perspective story. I'll tell the story, and then I'll tell the point to the story, and then what we'll do is we'll go through I'll ask the question, so watch that part, and then we'll do an activity around it. So here's the story. I was in the swim venue watching the Paralympic Games going on, and I'm not a swimmer, but I just happened to be on the Paralympic swim team. But I really wanted to run. And I never saw a person with an artificial leg run leg over leg before. So as I'm looking at this closed circuit television, I see this gentleman on the long jump runway in the Paralympic Games, and he's coming down the long jump runway leg over leg with this artificial limb, and then the whole crowd, they're cheering for him, they're clapping for him, and he gets to the edge of the takeoff board, he leaps into the air, and at the apex, the height of his flight, his artificial leg flies off. Oh. I had never seen this before. He lands here, and his artificial leg lands about 3 feet up in front of him. And the whole crowd goes dead silent, like Macaulay Culkin Home Alone. But he turns back, seizes the moment to where all eyes are on him, and focuses in on the long jump official and says, "Now where are you going to measure my jump from right here where an artificial leg landed up there?" I said, it's a brilliant attitude to have. I had never seen that before. That just shifted and changed my perspective on what I could actually do in life. I don't need to be in the swim venue. Where I need to be is back on the track. Okay, we'll pause there. Step out of the story. So you hear the story, you hear the setup, So the next thing I need to do is I made the point. The point is I want to move forward with the track and field career and get back into it. So the story is actually leading somewhere later on in the speech. But now I need to transfer that energy, transfer the momentum to the audience. So the point goes, or the application is, how about you? Have you ever had a time in your life when you need to change your perspective? And now the transfer has happened. And then we can add some points in there. What are some of the changes that you think that people normally would go through? Just throw some out. Okay, I'll help you with one. Maybe a job.
Midlife crisis.
Midlife crisis. What else?
Moving.
Moving.
Marriage.
What? Marriage.
Death of a loved one.
Death of a loved one. Relationships. Kids.
Yeah.
All these things. What'd you say?
Promotions.
Promotions. All these things you can begin to add in that have commonality with your audience and synergizes them together. Oh, that's not going to work.
Not sure what's going on.
Okay, so we have that. Now we've transferred it. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to do the activity that goes around it. I'll do one set of the activity. I would like for you to stand up, please. Face a partner. Just get to a partner. I want you to take one step closer to that partner. I want you to look up and down, intently up and down your partner's body. I want you to look up and down your partner's body. Look intently up and down your partner's body. Don't look at me. No, I am not the focus. The object of your desire. Once you have that, I want you to turn around, do an about face. About face. And I want you to change 3 things. Change 3 things about your appearance. Change 3 things about your appearance. Change 3 things about your appearance.
I don't know if I can do it.
Change 3 things about your appearance.
That's a good
Change 3 things about your appearance. Once you've done that, turn back around and guess the 3 things that were changed on your partner.
Yeah.
Shoe.
Okay, for the sake of time, let's bring it back. Everybody sit back down.
Oh, yeah.
So here's a point to the exercise. This is a great one. That's just a throwaway for everyone. I know y'all love this one. This is a great activity, as you can see, because the conversations keep on going. The speaker's trying to get back to him. So this is a great activity that gets all your entire audience engaged. So you can see that the SPAA method actually does work. What I do with this, I then come back and I make a point. We resist change, we're confused about the new environment, we feel lost, and we feel like we're losing change, and our change is not sustainable. So when we sit back down, most of us put all this stuff right back on again. Right? So a SPAA method helps us keep focused, it helps us keep on time, keeps us on track with what we are doing. So going back to the story of how I got into that one moment, what I learned most from this time of being part of the National Speakers Association, and particularly a part of Toastmasters, is to have a methodology for what we do. Thank you for your time. Great.